Hey guys, it's Simone here, and I am coming in before the episode. I did not expect us to talk for so long when we recorded this. So this is part one. In part one, we did talk about, teaching. I gave an update about the current strikes that are happening. I wanted to talk about Street Woman Fighter too, because I did start watching the show and I just wanted to give my views of it from the perspective of actually watching the show compared to, seeing the clips. It started all the uproar. And we did talk about Jungkook's 3D. Now, we didn't get to talk too much about the song itself just because we were on a time crunch, and that is something that we're still working on with this podcast. I'll probably pop in and do my little PSAs if you've been listening for a while, at least from my opinions. But I do think the conversation that we had in a broader aspect of just K-pop in general and the way people have been acting towards Jungkook was important. So I still enjoyed it, and I hope you do as well. And I will post a little bit later the second part, which is when Briana actually starts talking about her trip in South Korea and Singapore. So she talks about both of them. But yes, please enjoy. And as always, we are always looking for feedback. So let us know what you thought about the conversation. What is up, everybody? It's your lovely host, Simone.
And I'm Nafis.
And welcome back to I Was Thinking. Yay! And it's not just us two. If you've been listening to us for a while, you've heard her voice before. She is featured on probably one of my favorite episodes, to be honest. Every time I listen back to when we went to go see BTS in LA for Permission to Dance, I always laugh. But it is Briana. I know y'all missed her. I missed her. How you been, girl?
I'm doing all right. I'm dying of allergies right now, so I apologize if I sneeze 8 times in a row.
It's okay. I used to have to do that with Macy. I also miss Macy, so I hope she's doing well. I don't know if she listens to this or not, especially since she's not on it as much. But yeah, we miss you over here, Macy. Hope you're doing well. But yes, we're back with another episode. I'm still awkward no matter how many times I do this. I think also I would have a catchphrase by now for us by doing this, but I don't.
Gotta make a jingle.
Girl, are you a musical producer? Because if so, you can make a jingle for us. Okay, that's what I thought.
I'm good at throwing out ideas. That's pretty much it.
Okay, well, think of a catchphrase for us to say. Be like, hello, I was thinking, and a tagline or something, and get back with me.
Put that on my list.
Didn't we try to do that earlier and we just came up with some really cheesy ones?
I feel like it was too long though.
Yeah.
Or were they too cheesy? That's why I stopped doing it.
I don't know.
What did I used to say?
I don't know.
Wasn't it this is a podcast where we share our thoughts and opinions, even though I feel like we kind of don't, but we do, but we tone it down.
Yeah.
So it's do we really share our thoughts and opinions?
We share our PC opinions here.
Yes.
So we don't get eaten up online.
Girl, the more, and I think TikTok has helped in a way, I do this, the more I don't care.
Facts.
Gracefully, I haven't had anyone come after me like that. It seems to be pretty chill.
It's good.
But at the same time, it's just I just envision them as a miserable person and has nothing better to do than just throw hate at a stranger who's also
it's like giving a speech in front of a group of naked people.
Yeah, just doing random things on the internet, sharing my experiences, my own opinions, not harming anyone. I'm not spreading any type of harm.
True.
So it's what's going on here? Are you okay?
No,
Unclench.
Nobody's okay anymore. Oh,
yeah, but Yeah, I told Briana this a little bit when we texted. Like, I've been getting a little bit more open
That's
before
right.
we do this.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or not.
I mean, I think we should all get to a point where we just, as long as you're not saying anything to hurt anybody, you shouldn't be afraid to share your opinion.
Exactly.
Or at least have a healthy dialogue or discourse. Like, it's okay to have conversations. You don't have to always follow the trends.
Yeah.
And I'm learning that as I get older as well. So I wish that was the same for everybody, but we'll get more into that later because it actually goes into what we're talking about. But before that, how was everyone's week? Is everyone doing okay?
Yeah.
Got a new job. Yeah.
Yay!
Because we kind of talked about you a little bit, just about like me and Nafis got into a discussion about teachers. So we,
Don't do it. It's a
you're
trap.
one of the ones that left. How does it feel though?
It feels good. I mean, as any teacher does, I think we miss our kids the most. But in this day and age, these parents, and especially being a teacher in the great and wonderful Florida, Florida is going through a interesting time in terms of education, and a lot of teachers are not really liking it. So you might start to see more of it, at least on the south end here. So,
Dang.
But I miss my kids, so that's pretty much the biggest thing. My homeroom that I had since 7th grade is graduating this year. So following them, they had homecoming last night. So shout out to Edgewood at homecoming.
Fun.
So it was nice to see their pictures and stuff like that. So I miss them. But otherwise, teaching, no, don't do it. It's a trap.
It's a trap.
That's also funny too, because like yesterday, me and Nafis had our Korean class that we go to, and like even the teacher was telling us like how where we go, the head guy wants to have like more classes, but there's also a teacher shortage. I'm like, dang, it's not even in public schools.
Right. Adult ed is suffering, or some teachers are actually finding that going to adult ed is a little bit easier, but also a lot of them don't know that that's an option, especially a lot of new and incoming teachers. I mean, I was so desperate for a job because I like teaching. It's just, again, the parents and the culture that surround teaching K through 12 right now is just so toxic. A lot of people are moving to adult ed because those are actual adults and they want to learn. So you really don't have the same issues that K through 12 does. Also, prison teaching is something that people don't pay attention to a lot either because America and their prison system, we don't really think about redeeming our prison population, but that is also
have time to go into the whole conversation of the prison system
exactly.
Here,
but that's also an alternative that a lot of teachers don't realize because those people really, really wanting to learn, so they are a good group to try and advocate to and for. So that is also something else I was looking at as well. So there's a lot of options out there outside of the K through 12 classroom, but it's not being shared right now.
Right. Would you say the same for community college and university?
I think you need a master's in order to get to that. And I think you might also need a master's to do prison education as well. Or corrections education. So it's definitely
in my
something
county, you don't need a master's to teach adult education. You just need to be like a teacher in that county.
Adult ed. I think Simone was saying community college. I think you have to have a master's to do community college and state college.
But like for the prisons and the adult education, you don't.
I don't think you do for adult corrections. I'm not 100% sure. I think the one job I had looked at, you needed a master's, but that was also, they also gear a lot of their education towards trade, like trade school. So I think any kind of inmate that would like maybe just a regular AA, they might have a connection to state and community colleges. So you might also still need a master's, but I feel like inmates who want to get their high school diploma might do adult ed, and that's probably where that might cross. So it might not just be like, go into a prison and teach the inmates there. They might have some sort of workaround to where either the inmate might be able to have a certain time where they can go to community college, or there might be a certain time where a teacher might be able to go into the prison system. So it's interesting. Definitely, if you're interested in teaching and you're worried about where K through 12 is, look on those alternative areas.
I do teach English to adults in the evening. And let me tell you, I love it so much. It's like, because they're like into it, they're there to learn. And it's like kind of inspiring too,
Yeah.
because they work all day, most of
Yes.
them. And then
Yeah.
they come with that energy. And I'm like, and here I am, like dying, tired.
Yes.
But because they have energy, I have to put forth energy. And it's just fun. It's fun dialogue.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is they realize, like, the kids today don't have a view of what's happening in the future. A lot of these people live through it and they're like, oh God, no, education is, I need it. So they're really willing to listen, whereas kids are not.
Not only that, but like the cheating in high school now is just so ridiculous.
Bad.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's
Welcome
so
to Chat
bad.
GTP life.
It's so bad. So there's this application, for those that don't know, called Kahoot, where it's like this fun game type thing.
Mm-hmm. It was getting popular when I was still in school.
Yeah, and so like I did like a quiz review on that. I'm like, guys, if you do well on the Kahoot, you'll do really well on the quiz. Trust me. Tell me how one kid is like recording himself doing the Kahoot. And I'm just like, you can't, you just can't. Like, what alternatives are there out there if they're just going to just cheat like that?
Yeah.
Weren't you also telling me last time they have to put their phones away? So it's like, isn't he also breaking a rule?
They do. They try to do it sneaky. This kid like literally sits in front of me and he just does it. But he's also the same kid that got caught yesterday mid flip, like during the quiz.
Wow.
Like he was looking at his notes and I caught him like in the middle of like flipping his paper in his notebook.
Wow.
And I was like, dude, you know better. I'm sorry, but I have to give you like a 50. And I told him, if you're caught cheating, like that's automatic 50.
Yep.
I'm going to change it to 0 next quarter, but
as you should.
Yeah.
And contact their parent. I used to stand in the back during the 2020, half online, half e-learning. Yeah. I stood in the back of my class. Those kids they could, like turn around and look back at me and they'd be like, is she there? I'm like, I'm still here. I haven't disappeared, y'all. I would walk around and that's when you'd see them like make sure, because they were nervous because I told them straight up, like, you're going to get a 0. There was no 50 because, it was e-learning. And I told the e-learners too, I was like, if I catch you, you just automatically get a 0. Like, this is easy. And, I used to make things open note. So if their phone was out, yeah.
And this was the easiest quiz too. I was like, oh, so ridiculous. And there was another kid. Oh my gosh. So there's this other application called Land School Air where you can look at the kids like desktop. And so I have that open too, because like sometimes I can't get to every kid, even though I'm walking around. And I looked at it and one of the kids had like a different tab open, which said, which of the following? And I'm like, oh my goodness. So I asked for his laptop and he was looking up like at least 4 of the questions.
Wow.
And I'm like, sir, you know better. Come on. He admitted to it too. He's like, yeah, I did. And I'm like, okay.
Wait. How do they take tests now? Is everything done on laptops?
Yeah.
Like there's no type of Scantron or like paper tests?
I wish Scantrons came back, but no.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I used to test them. I never tested online, not for my subject, because it's impossible. Biology though, at this point they're just reading, so you pretty much, if you want to make things easier on yourself, do it. But we used to do grade cam. Don't you have grade cam, Nafis?
No, we don't.
Oh, you should ask your district or school about that. Grade cam, you could make your own Scantron tests. And
really?
I used to do that for anatomy. Oh, yes. Again, I was like, we're not doing anything electronic. We're going to go back to the early 2000s and late 90s of school. I would use technology for, reviews. I would use technology when they could take their notes on it, blah, blah, blah. But once it came to tests, nope. Back to paper and pencil test, because it's physically impossible to understand if a kid understands something based on internet learning.
Yeah.
But it's so crazy because all your professional developments are, how are you incorporating technology? I was like, I'll give them a project where they can make a video on a certain subject and they can record themselves using TikTok. I did that all the time, but technology and classroom learning do not go hand in hand. It's great for research. It's great for taking notes and organizing and stuff like that. But to teach, no.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I learned something new because I didn't know I didn't realize how much kids were using laptops now more than ever. So
it's so bad that schools are literally investing in essentially the softwares. We used Aristotle. We also had Land School, but we started using Aristotle at the end of last year. And kids were, every tab that they've opened, even if they close it, it would still stay there. And you just be like, really, dude? And why are you? I'm not using it. Here is a history of all the tabs you've opened since I started and they would get, so yeah, it's wild. We're having to do more work because of the one-to-one.
I like that I can like pause their screens if they're on like YouTube or whatever. I love that. But I
used to be able to just close tabs. That was my favorite thing. Just like they'd open up YouTube, close, and they're like, oh, something's wrong with my computer. Oh, really? Wow, why? What's happening?
I wonder,
and they try
what happened?
I'm trying to open up websites. Well, that's weird because nobody else is having that problem. And they tried again. I'm like, close. It was great. It was great.
But no, in our district though, because I teach environmental science this year, which is like a portion of biology, I guess. So they like want us to do our like tests and quizzes and stuff like on Performance Matters, where it breaks down the data by like standard and all that.
Yeah.
So like I was told I have the option to do it on like paper too, but that's just more work for me to go back and look at it by standard. But I mean, at this point though, I probably might just go back to paper only because like this is ridiculous.
I definitely recommend looking up GradeCam. GradeCam. You make your tests. You can make your tests on Word or whatever. Put your, multiple choice in, go into GradeCam, put your key in, print off Scantron. They take the test. All you have to do is hold it up to your camera. It automatically grades everything. It's great.
So I have to sit there and hold up 142 like papers?
Mm-hmm. Takes maybe like 10 minutes. I'm not even lying to you. Just boop, 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 and it automatically sorts them. You can do it by period. So you can have first period, doom. As soon as the period is done, just hold it up and it grades all however many. Then you could do second period, it grades that. And then you just look at the grades and enter them into whatever.
And it's been accurate so far?
Oh, yeah. I have no problem.
Oh, wow.
If they have a question, they'll pull it up specifically and say, can't understand. And you look at the test and be like, oh, they erased B and put C, and you just correct it really quickly and keep going. If you messed up in your key, you can go through, be like, oh, this one was supposed to say B. It's like, would you like to change it for every test? Yes. And it does it automatically. It's the greatest thing ever. Yeah. When I had 160 kids, it was like lifesaver for me. So, wow. 10 out of 10. Do recommend.
So you were able to like sort through the standards and all that? Or did you just organize it in a way where you knew certain questions represented a certain standard?
Like when you make your test, you make your test. You can also do that in GradeCam too. You can push out tests in GradeCam. GradeCam is amazing. I mean, if you have time to just sit down or ask your district if there's like GradeCam training, just take it. I had teachers that only gave their tests online through GradeCam. It shuts down the browser, all that stuff. I preferred to do the handwritten ones, so that way I'd force the kids to write stuff down, and then they'd have no computer out at all. It was just Scantron and test, and then you would collect the tests and boom, grade them.
Were you able to make different versions of a? Oh, this is powerful information.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yep.
Well, more on that when we're done recording for you too, so you can get some information. But that's the update on teachers. We're wishing them all well in this hellish country because y'all are going through it. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Trying to figure out how to segue.
So on to new news. We're going to start talking about sexual things now because that's a great segue.
News that I can join it too. No, I'm absolutely joking though. But it's good information because I don't know the range of our listeners. Again, we have like 2. No one really interacts with us, so it's fine. It's fine. We're getting there. It's okay.
Always got to start slow.
Exactly. So that was a good teacher update because we did talk about that last time. Another update is congratulations to the WGA for finally reaching some type of deal with the studios. So they are officially not on strike anymore. The strike ended on September 27th. SAG-AFTRA, which are the actors, are unfortunately still on strike. So we're wishing the best for them. I think they're also trying to get voice actors to unionize to strike, whether that's voice actors in video games, animation, as far as like TV and movies, or both. I'm not sure. I've just been seeing about video games, but we'll see. I think the VFX are still trying to also go on strike. I think hotel workers in California are still on strike.
Auto workers in Detroit.
Auto workers are on strike.
Everybody's on strike.
Everybody's on strike.
As they should make those multi-million-dollar companies pay.
My fee for 2023 has been paying these people their fucking money.
This is the year of the strikes.
And I'm here for it.
Yep. Pilots are like always on the verge of striking at some point. Like,
are they really? Is there a union for airlines?
yes.
There should be. If not,
I know Southwest, if you drive through Orlando, there's that like billboard that's like Southwest is pilots are ready to strike. And I'm like, oh, damn. I'm like, all right.
Oh, I haven't seen that. Maybe I haven't been to that part of Orlando to see that.
528. I passed it every morning going to my last job.
Aw.
Yep. So,
oh my gosh. Speaking of your last job, how did you end that off?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I just literally, which hopefully she doesn't listen to this because it wasn't true. I just told her, I was like, yeah, no, I have a new job. I told her the same morning I got the job. I was like, I got a new job. Won't be able to, I might not be able to come. And she's like, oh, it's fine. You can come after your training on Thursday. And I was like, I don't know what time it's going to end. And she's like,
why
fine,
did you say might? You should have said I can't come anymore.
Because I freaked out. I had the anxiety thing where
you were trying to be nice about
yes,
it.
like I was hoping she'd be like, oh, okay, fine, like good luck. No, she was like, oh, and I was like, so I panicked. And I just was like, yeah, I can come in Wednesday or Thursday after my training and Friday too. And she's like, oh, great. But I was like, I'll let you know. I don't know what time it's gonna end.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that training ended so early. I think I only spent like an hour and a half. And I just texted her. I was like, yeah, they want me to, I'm going to be here till noon. And I also won't be able to come in on Friday either. They want me to come back the next day. And she was like, okay, great. And then she also lied. She was like, oh, the boys were so excited for you to come. Like, and I was like, ma'am, no.
Were they? Because
they
I was
were
afraid
not.
You're going to end up on a true crime.
Same.
Yeah.
So I was like, I didn't even answer. It's still left on read to this day. Cause I was like, oh, and then she also had the nerve to be like, and if you have any holidays or any free time where you can come up. And I was like, no.
Aww.
So, no aw.
She really desperately needs a teacher for her kids.
She desperately needs to put them in public school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I am not an advocate for homeschooling at all. I get there's certain situations. I get it. If you have a situation where you can do it, knock yourself out.
Or if you're disciplined enough to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if your kids are disciplined enough to do it, absolutely. But that was the most toxic situation I've ever been in. So don't recommend it. 2 out of 10.
I'm glad you're out of it now, though.
Same.
Yeah, I'm also glad you're out of it.
Thank you. I'm excited for this new career path.
When do you start?
I don't know yet. That's how bad it was. Like I was like, I'd rather just sit at home for a week and not get paid as opposed to going back.
Oh wow.
Understandable though. Yeah. Sometimes jobs be like that.
Oh yeah, I think what they're waiting on is just my background check, like fingerprints, and I had to take a drug test. So
is this the same district you worked for before? Okay.
So I get my retirement kicks back in.
Good.
I get the millage that we had just voted for to increase teacher pay. So I'd been there for 5 years, so I'll also get like a little bit of a raise. I think it's like.
But this is not a teaching role, right? It's administration.
It's still instructional. So it still falls under instruction. So I get the teacher holidays. I get teacher pay. Like if I was a new teacher, I'd get the new teacher pay. But since I had already taught for 5 years in this district, I now just continue to
Oh my
add
gosh,
on.
that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's good.
I'm excited.
Yeah, that's good. Congratulations, Briana.
Thank you. I'm excited. Hopefully it's better.
Hopefully it's better. Yeah.
I'm gonna choose to be optimistic.
I hope it's better for you as well. Okay, so let's get on to the topics that we have for today, or else we want to make this a teacher's episode.
We'll get onto the topics. That's more fun. Talking about teaching will make me depressed and anxious.
Okay, so we have about 3 topics to talk about, surprisingly, because usually we've been rambling a lot, and it's not a review. But yes, so I will put timestamps in the descriptions because I know sometimes people just want to listen to certain things. So, sorry, I almost knocked my phone off the table. Okay, so first, last time I had talked a little bit to Nafis about Street Woman Fighter 2. So I'm just going to give a recap about that because I actually did go and watch the show. I just want to give some updates of what I talked about last time. We are going to discuss Jungkook's new song, 3D, featuring Jack Harlow. I had made them watch it before we started, so this is going to be their first reactions to it. And then what the actual topic of this episode was about was to listen to Briana's trip because she did go to South Korea when? July?
Yeah, at the middle of July, yeah. until the end.
Okay, yeah. So just to get her experience, we're going to ask her some questions because if you've been with us for a while, me and Nafis has talked about how we would like to visit Korea, but we just want to know what it's really like, especially from someone that we do know and not have to go on YouTube because at the end of the day, if we're being honest, especially if you're like a YouTuber, a lot
They
of
lie.
them make videos to be like clickbaity. So yes, it's like either very positive or very negative, but they don't actually tell you like any real true experiences again, unless they're like making it so you can watch it. But I trust Briana, especially for me, like I had said, as a fellow Black person, I just want to know what my comfort level will be. So yeah. But let's start with Street Woman Fighter 2. Briana, are you aware of this show or anything that is happening with the show?
I am. I've mostly watched the TikTok clips. I've also followed like Latrice and Kristen and the royal family for like years. So I knew that they were on it. I just was like, oh, wow, they made their way to Korea. I wonder. And I've heard about Street Woman Fighter like 1 from last year. Right. So I knew about that one. But other than like really following it, and then of course like the big controversial like thing with the Mana Queens or whatever, at the very beginning, I kind of started like just rooting from them. Like, I hope y'all win so that way we can talk trash, to the. It's been more of a personal vendetta as opposed to me just like watching it. I just watch it to make sure they're still in it and like nothing suspicious is happening and then kind of move on.
I think that's what a lot of people, especially on Twitter and like Black fans, are the same as you, Briana, are watching it really through the clips. And I was doing that too, especially when like the controversy came out, which Mnet cut out.
Of course.
And I was like, oh, y'all knew what you were doing. And I found a way to watch the show. So like everything we saw online, it's like in the end credits, but it's not shown in the next episode.
Right.
So they knew what they were doing.
Because I feel like they do that to gauge. They know it's controversial. I'm not like Korea, as great as they have come up, they still have a lot of problems, and they know exactly what they're doing when it comes to. I don't want to use the word race baiting because that seems very certain sided over here. But they know exactly what they're doing when it comes to certain things and what they're showing. So they grab people's attention and then they never show it. And it's just like, all right, I see you. So
I found a way to actually watch the show, which is actually interesting too, because when I'm watching it and it's like they promote it to be like involved as far as global as well. I'm like, well, how is this being like globally involved if people like on my side have to search illegally to watch this? I know we can go on and like do the voting, but it's harder for people to vote if they don't have a chance to watch it.
Right.
Like I'm doing unofficial websites. And even like, I think I had made a TikTok when I had first watched the first 2 episodes and how I said I was going to go on that YouTube channel they keep promoting to watch the unseen like dance street battles. Is not available here. So I can't watch it. So it's like, what? How is this for global? Just say like, this is just for Korea.
The eastern portion of the globe.
And I caught up. So I've seen all the episodes that are out. I believe episode 6 is coming out Tuesday, I believe. I didn't know if they're going to skip this week because of Chuseok or not, but it doesn't look like it. I don't know how long Chuseok also runs to.
7. So it's just this week.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
Actually, it just ended.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it'll be fine then. So yeah, Tuesday. And then we're continue watching the Mega Crew missions. Because I didn't watch Street Woman Fighter the first season, and I didn't watch Street Man Fighter either. So I really only got interested, like we said, because the clips I was seeing online. But I will only start with episode like 4 and 5, because that's really what I want to talk about. I am glad they gave up the Jam Republic and Mana Queen like rivalry. I'm glad they ended it. It's what I initially wanted to watch, was just crews dancing and kind of being, yes, competitive, but slightly supportive at the same time. Because when I watched the first episode, a lot of them know each other. So I was just surprised about the things they were saying. I'm like, you do know this is going to be aired, right?
And that's why people were saying it might have been like Mnet saying for them to do stuff.
Yeah.
And that's was like, is this Mnet's evil editing or what? Because I've learned a lot of them know each other way before this show, and like some may be friends or just used to be in crews together. Apparently, a lot of them used to be in crews together. So that was interesting. Another thing I'll say just right now, I told y'all being a little bit more open. Please give up the do-rags and the bandanas to God. Please give them up. You do not need to wear those and the braids. And a lot of international people get like, I don't know if it's confused or like when we say braids, they think we mean all braids. We're like, no, we're talking about specific cultural hairstyles for Black hair, which is the cornrows, which is the like micro braids. We're also trying to help you guys so they don't make your hair fall out. If anyone's on TikTok and know about that white girl named Starla, she had to learn the hard way. We're trying to make sure you don't end up like a Starla. But it's just interesting, like they're so forward with the clothes, thinking that makes them fit the aesthetic they think hip hop is, and it's not. Because even the Black girl that is on the show is not even wearing this stuff.
Yep.
Also, speaking of Latrice, I had accidentally said she's Australian last time, but she's New Zealand. Everyone from Jam Republic is from New Zealand except for Audrey. She is American. Other than that, it's not needed. I'm pushing through it though, but I am kind of just, again, the side eye. But back to the rivalry. I'm glad it's up. Everything I said about Redlick, I don't take back. My biggest frustration with everyone's frustration is just that she had said that as like her body made it automatically unfair. Again, the microaggressions, like I need to hold her accountable for those microaggressions. They had made up, especially either in episode 3 or 4 when they ended up in the hospital together and like Latrice forgave her. I'm going to ease up on Redlick, but I'm not going to forget what you said. I'm still going to watch you with a side eye.
Yep.
I don't know also if Redlick behind the scenes had like apologized to Latrice or not. I would hope she did if she actually is sorry for what she said. But again, I don't know. I'm not there. So I am just giving Redlick a side eye, but I'm going to ease up off her. Like I had said, I didn't think she was a bad dancer. The show is also showing how there is a difference in different styles of dances. Not everyone who is a good choreography or is good in choreography type dances are good at street dancing and vice versa. And not even just like for hip hop. That could be the same for like modern dance, ballet. There are so many different forms of dance. I know they're focusing on like hip hop and street dance. You can see it. You can see it. But yeah, because I think Mannequin is talented.
They are.
Especially that one woman wacky. I was
gonna say they do a lot of whacking and tutting, which is really cool. So
yeah, and I'm glad they brought like that type of style, especially since becoming popular on that show. And there's another group on there called Wooflo, who are like strictly street dancers. So it's been interesting watching them. I do have a little bit more of a soft spot for them because I've been seeing them actually like improve. And even though they're not good at like choreography, like they're trying and like they're actually pretty decent at it. So I give it up to those women. What I really wanted to talk about was the K-pop mission challenge. And I'm going to give a spoiler, but everyone's pretty much new. Like I knew the team that got voted off before I even watched it. So I guess skip this part if you don't want to know it if you're still watching it. But I mean, it's kind of, we're in week 5 now, almost week 6. I'm pretty sure everyone already knows. So the team that got voted off was the Japanese group Subak. I didn't think they should have been the first ones to go home. I'm going to be so honest. If I had to pick a team,
choose wisely.
It would have been Dip and Dap.
Okay.
I would have chose Dip and Dap. Lady Bounce actually surprised me with their K-pop mission. They did a good job. 1 Million also did a good job too. But it's just, I didn't know how to feel with Wooflo and Subak in the bottom 2. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm not sure if this is Mnet's evil editing, but I had noticed that crowd was a little quiet when Subak was performing. That's all I'm going to say. Because we know the relations between Japan and Korea.
I was going to say.
I am not going to speak on that, as neither of those nationalities.
Don't know if that may play a part, but yeah.
But I did notice that. And as well as Wolflow, again, they're not the best at like choreography, but I thought they did a really good job. I forgot who they were up against.
I would help, but I don't watch it.
They were up against 1 Million, because 1 Million tried to make their dance a little bit more like sexy and feminine to like throw them off, because they don't really do that. And I hope I say this correctly, because I never want to assume anyone's like sexuality or anything like that, but they are a little bit more, they have more like masculine energy. I'll say it like that. And just knowing the world, especially when it comes to women and not really liking that type of energy, makes me wonder if that's why they're in the bottom two with Subakil, because they both got zeros for the crowd voting.
Dang.
And zeros in something else as well. I can't remember, but that's what really hurt them as far as their scoring.
Right.
And then, of course, to like see who went home, they had to do street battles. And I mean, Subakil, I thought, did excellent. And there were some battles they did, because they did up to 5 that I thought this should have been given to Subakil, but it went to Wolflow. So that's what ended up, them going home. But I don't think they should have went home. I don't think they should have been the first ones to go home.
I think a lot of people agree.
I also didn't want Wolflow to go home either, because I thought they were improving. It was just a struggle.
Hopefully they'll get other opportunities to kind of show outside. Like now that they're kind of known, they'll be able to pull them into other things, like other groups, choreos or whatever, or choreography.
I'm sure. And I don't know how popular they're in Japan. I'm assuming they're pretty popular. It seems like it. So
I've never heard of them outside of this. But again, this might be what they need. Because I know you were not alone. Again, I don't really watch it, but I know a lot of people in the comments under videos were upset about them leaving. So hopefully,
after fully watching it, I'm like, no, they had a lot more to show. I would have loved to seen what they had in mind for the Mega Crew Challenge. Like, I don't think they should have left. I don't think they should have been the first ones to leave.
So is the rating most heavily like based off of audience voting?
It's like a mixture. So it's like judge voting and then online voting. But then they also, I noticed, they take into consideration, like, if you want to watch the Mega Crew, like the actual videos they created, you can watch them on YouTube. I think, I don't think they're like, not available here in America, but they're taking into consideration as well as like views on the videos and likes.
Oh.
So that's also going into their scores.
So the judge's opinion is not the biggest factor then. It's like everything else.
I want to say the judges still are, and everything else is extra.
Oh, okay.
Everything else is extra to the point where, depending on what they voted you, it can still make or break a team depending how close they were. Like, say a judge, like the judges votes they give to each crew and they're like neck and neck and they're maybe like 30 or 40 points off. The other stuff can really make or break like who wins and who doesn't.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, if that makes sense. So I don't know why I was struggling to try to explain Wolflow. Like, I still meant what I said about like masculine energy, but just because I say that doesn't mean anything about someone's sexuality or like sexual preferences or orientation. Maybe I should have just said femininity. And by that, especially if you look at it on the Korean standard, it's like a certain small round face, big eyes, like a button nose, very small body wise, things like that. I also meant in the physical build. Wolflow is not that. So that was just one of my things when I was looking at them compared to, the others, why I thought they probably got a low audience score. Because if you did watch the show, that is why 1 Million during Blackpink's shutdown, they added that, sexy choreography of them like getting into a split and kicking their leg up, especially since Wolflow doesn't do those type of feminine choreography. So that's really what I meant. But I still think, if you understand what I meant about masculine energy, because again, everyone can have masculine and feminine energy, but maybe that's a different conversation because it can be misconstrued by people saying you're like gay or straight, and that's not what it means at all. Also, just two more things before I really go and we get back to this episode. Sometimes I think I say something and then when I listen back, I mispronounce what I was trying to say. So I had actually said Wacky. Her name is Waxy. I like Waxy from Mana Queen. I apologize for that. And second of all, thank God Nafis asked me about the judges because they completely slipped my mind when I was talking about the show in general. First of all, Mnet, I really do think you put Shonu on the show for some eye candy and like to get K-pop fans to watch. I'm not really sure. It's like, I don't know if these don't allow him to talk or if they're editing him out speaking and doing what a judge does and give critique and why he maybe voted a certain way. It's like, if he's a judge, I would like to hear his opinion. I never hear that man speak. It makes me sad. Because, I would assume he's there for some reason. And again, not just for some eye candy. And he's a great dancer. So I would like to hear his opinion on the dances. Can't really talk about the guest judges because they come and go. So far, I've appreciated all of them. I've had no problems with any of the guest judges that I've seen so far. Now, that one woman from the first season, I believe her name is Monica. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But I know we were all focused on Redlick. She has also said, some questionable things, specifically to the foreign team, so Jam Republic and Subakil. I can't remember if she said anything about Wolflow or not, but like some things I feel like were not needed. Like that one battle that Kirsten did, I think against Mana Queens. Was she up against Eugen? She was either up against Eugen. No, yeah, she was up against Eugen because Eugen was basically like redeeming Waxy because she had lost to Kirsten and Eugen had ended up winning. But I don't remember what song they were dancing to. And Monica said something about like, Eugen fit the song better. That's cool. But then did she really have to say, if it was a Kendrick Lamar song, she would have picked Kirsten? That's a little out of pocket for me and was like so unnecessary to say. And she has said some other things that makes me like question like something I don't want to say out loud. But yeah, also side-eyeing her when it comes to judging. Again, don't know who's the mastermind behind all these type of programs, but I wish they let Shonu talk more though. So right now, they did show the Mega Crew challenges again. Jam Republic went through a lot too because they tried to go back home and film their video, but like because they were doing the outside challenge and they want to do it by a beach, I think a really bad sandstorm happened. So they had to like use a rugby field, I believe.
I did see that performance.
Yeah, that one's really good. But then they got points deducted from them, which I felt bad because the point of the mission, one of the requirements was to have like 30 people and they couldn't get that because a lot of people, I guess at that time were busy or traveling. So I felt bad. But then thankfully they got those points back because the judge dance-wise said their video was better than they were up against Dip and Dap, which I understand. Dip and Dap's video was beautiful. I thought it was a great homage to Korea. And I think they incorporated Korean drums to it. But as far as dancing was lacking just a little bit, but they did do a good job because, there was also conflict with them. They're a newer group. They were butting heads, things like that. It's also interesting just to watch how they do conflict. I do notice the conflict is a little bit more intense than I've ever seen. But again, I don't really watch Korean variety or drama, so I don't know if competitions are always like this. This is just my first time experiencing it or what. So, but then next week or whenever the third happens, whenever I have time to record this, it's going to be way past that. But it's going to be, we're going to see Wolflow. Oh God. You know what? Now I just forgot the other. Oh, we're going to see Wolflow. We're going to see Bebe with Bada Lee. That's her crew.
Okay.
Did we see Lady Bounce? No, I don't think so yet. Lady Bounce. And I'm forgetting the other crew that we haven't seen yet. No, I think it's just those three. Yes, because there's 7 now. Yeah, and we saw Jam Republic, Dip and Dap, 1 Million, and Mana Queen. Yes. So it's just those 3 we have left to see. And then I believe after that, someone else is going to get voted off.
A quick side note, because you brought up bodily, the smoke challenge. I don't know if you saw the discourse on Twitter. It's like people were saying, "Ooh, the smoke challenge is really showing us which idols know how to dance and which ones are just." And I was like, "Dang!" It was, and yeah, it was an interesting thing. And of course, because K-pop fans can't again have just real discourse because some of them weren't great. I'm not gonna lie, some of them were not great. Some of them were really good.
Some of them incorporated their own styles, and it's like that's the thing. They don't. I think because the way K-pop has came to a point where everyone has to make sure they look the same to like make sure it looks organized. That when they see them doing it in a freestyle way, they think it's bad. When it's not, it's just different.
Yes,
you can tell when someone can't dance and when someone's just doing their own type of style into an already choreographed choreography.
Right. And the thing is, it's not even that. It's some of it was definitely like, this is not their style of dance. And it's okay for them to not be good at it. And a lot of people were just like, no, it's like, no, that was not. And I'm not going to say any particular name. So don't go out there and be like, oh my God, you're talking like, no. Like there were some that I was like, this is really good. And definitely they put their own style on it. And I think a lot of people are like, oh my God, the copycat, like you got to copy here. It's like, no, they put their own style and it looked good. Then there were others where it was like, ooh, just this is not for you. Lee, you should have left that one alone. And it was definitely interesting to see the differences. And then now, because I guess a lot of people are like, all right, let's turn it into a joke. I don't know if you've seen like the ones where I forgot which group, it was a girl group that did it. They started off like they were going to do it and now they're like running and falling because that's like the first line of the song. It states like, now I'm running and falling into something. I don't remember. So like that's the new trend of the smoke challenge now is to like start off like you're going to do it and then just run and fall down.
No, I haven't seen that because I saw another discourse talking about when the challenge was first popular. They were also noticing how people were comparing idols' dance skills because they're like, look at the idols doing the smoke challenge and look at the ones doing Latrice's click like.
Oh, indeed.
Because not a lot of them at the time was doing click like, and more of them are now. Well, not idols, but I've just been seeing regular people doing click like. The only idols I've seen do click like is Shonu and like other groups I'm unfamiliar with. I know there's been other groups that did click like, but
there's been a few.
NTXT because they did it with Latrice. So
yes, click like is really hard. Like it requires a lot of body control, and again, it goes into the differences of like who can, because you have everybody's got their role in a K-pop group. Like, oh, I'm the lead dancer, and it's like, all right, so let's. They're like essentially putting it to the test. Like, how can you do it? But again, you also have to think about what style of dance are these different people used to. Like, so it's been an interesting thing to watch these challenges and everyone trying to copy them.
That's why I was telling the Feast, like, I didn't understand the lyric thing. That's another part of the whole debate. Besides what Red like said to Latrice, but like they were getting on her because she didn't know the Korean lyrics, so she was going off the beat. And the thing we keep saying how dance is a universal language, so it shouldn't really matter. And I've found this great TikTok to where a dancer actually did talk about it, and it's like
the beat versus lyric dancing.
Yes, but I think the thing is people aren't understanding also idols dance more to the lyrics, which is something I had to come to the conclusion with because they're putting on a performance for people as far as like, this is their song, you know? I don't know how to really explain it, but I understand it now. It's like, it's different for the idols because they also have to worry about putting on a performance. Whereas the street dancers, they just have to worry about, putting on a performance, but like dancing, like they don't have to worry about the singing to the lyrics, like trying to make a catchy like point of the lyrics to the dances like idols do.
That was definitely, I remember that discourse coming out too. And I did think we saw the same video. I forgot his name. So shout out to whoever you were who went through.
I wish I did. If I find the TikTok, I'll link it in our comments.
Yes, it was, he went like not video by video, but he did examples of each video. He also went back to the Street Woman Fighter videos and actually kind of frame by frame was like lyric. Now they're dancing to lyric. Now they're dancing to beat. Now they're dancing to lyric. And it was actually really, really cool and interesting to see the difference in both lyric dancing versus beat dancing. But yeah, no, it's been an interesting Street Woman Fighter 2 has been interesting to watch. And also the CD, the music that they've released has been really good. There's been Hyolyn. I think Jamie did one. Park Jimin, but Jamie, people know her as.
I think she did it for Street Man Fighter. No, is it for also Street Woman Fighter 2?
I think she's done 2. There's been 2 albums that have come out because there's the one that had Smoke on there, and then there's the one that had like a lot of other songs. Like I forgot who it was. A couple girls from G Idol did. XG did a song for it too. So I've been listening to both. And they've been pretty solid. Of course, then you have the Crush song. They're pretty solid EPs, I guess, that have come out for both.
Yeah, I'll have to listen to the second one. Maybe I missed the second one because the one with the girls for G Idol, that's in the first one because this was the first challenge where they had leader, sub leader. I forgot the other 2.
Yeah, there's been 2. You had the Ten and Taeyong song.
Yeah, the swipe one.
You had How to Twerk by Miyeon and Yuki, which are from G Idol. That was all on one, and then you had Naked Gold with Jamie, Chemistry, Hyolyn. And then a few other artists like XG and BY, or at least Coconut and I think Maya from XG, and then BY, another rapper, had. So they're the songs that they've put out for the show have been pretty good. So if you haven't listened to them, check them out because there's a lot of good music.
Yeah, because even though I didn't watch the Street Man Fighter, I like the song with oh my god, the Law one that you shared with me. Actually,
my god, BB and
Ray and
BB. Yeah, Queens, loved it.
One more thing I'll say before we move on is it was interesting since we're talking about like the dance is a universal language, because I think this is a separate show, but that one woman, Leah Kim, who is, I guess, basically the leader of 1 Million. I had saw a clip on TikTok. I guess she's on a different show, but it's her. And I don't know if any of the other women sitting with her are in Street Win Fighter or if they're just part of the company 1 Million, but they're talking to a black man. And Leah Kim was basically expressing how she feels like she lost her way with dance. And you can kind of see that if you watch the show. I understand what she's talking about because you do see her struggle, especially with this show. Like they are on a time crunch. So like you have to make up these dances. At least you're only giving a day, if even maybe a couple hours. So I know she was struggling with that a lot. And I hope she's doing a little bit better. I don't really know like much about her like that because 1 Million videos used to come up on my YouTube, but I don't really watch them.
They're another group that I've been following for a really long time. Very good dancers.
I used
lots
to
of
love
fun.
watching their videos.
Yeah, their videos were fun.
Yeah, so like I knew about them, and it was just interesting listening to him talk because he was basically saying what Latrice and Kirsten was saying about like the great thing about music is like it doesn't matter what language it is, you just have to make sure like music's to the point it's like you feel it in your body. So like don't think about it too much. Don't stress about it too much. It's really something no matter what type of dance you're doing. I know ballet is a little different because that is more on the technical side, but it's like the point of it is really just to like let it flow through you and whatever you're feeling at that moment that matches the beat to do that. And it's like, where did I hear this from? But you know, because Latrice's dance is technical.
Yes.
That's what I was telling Nafis last episode. I'm like, I don't think those girls realized it was more on a technical side than the other ones we saw. So
yeah,
I'm just glad that, you know, they ended up picking it. Latrice is getting all this, you know, the spotlight that she deserves. I like her. She's a cute girl. I think she's younger than me. So I think she's 25. If I remember when I looked up, I think they're all younger than us.
Even Kristen?
But anyway, I think so. I don't know how old Kirsten is.
I don't know either.
Because when she was in the Sorry video, I thought I was seeing they said she was 17.
Dang.
No.
Well.
You know, I don't feel like looking it up right now. But anyway.
How do these teenagers have their life put together? That's crazy to me.
Yes, so like I said before, and I'm going to keep saying, when Jam Republic leaves, that's when I leave. That's when I check out, and good luck to whoever actually does win it. Apparently, also, they do win money. I didn't think they won money on this show, but they do win some type of money. And Jam Republic is winning anyway, because this is a great way to segue how they're in Jungkook's new live performance and practice music video for 3D. So, and I've been seeing all the edits with that one little clip of Jungkook and Latrice. Everyone is just so hyped, at least the Black fans are.
Yeah, you know.
So they already won in my eyes.
Preach.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been won even before they went on the show. They didn't really need to go on the show to like prove themselves, but they just went on it to get more exposure, especially on the K-pop scene. And I better see some K-pop choreography made by them in the future.
I think we will, especially with, I mean, everybody likes Kirsten as long as she's not busy. And now Latrice has been put into the spotlight too. I think you'll start to see a lot more.
Also, shout out to the other girls, Audrey, Ling, and Emma, because I know we mostly talk about Kirsten and Latrice, but the other three deserve the praise as well, because not only are they stunning, but they're amazing dancers. So just shout out to Jam Republic and General.
Yep, agreed.
Okay, so next segment. I'm very bad with transitions, but Jungkook's 3D, which was technically kind of like a surprise drop. I say technically because, like, you know, when he was performing for Global Citizenship, that festival, whatever it was, when he was rehearsing, someone had taken a picture of the screen 3D. So it kind of already gotten, you know, like leaked, but then he officially announced the song after his performance, and then we got it a week later, which I'm not used to this usually, especially with like BTS or K-pop. Y'all give us like a timeline. I don't know what to do with these surprise drops. I'm like, wait, but I guess he's following that, you know, the Western standard where you just drop stuff randomly.
As he should. I like that better.
As he should.
I like being surprised.
I can't keep up though. I'm already struggling trying to keep up.
You have one group to keep up with. Don't even try me. We had that conversation.
Listen, but it's one group in 7 individual activities. I'm not used to this.
Should I? Are we? It's not 7 anymore.
It's like 4.
Few of them are in the military right now. So
I miss Yugi so much.
I know
he's doing well though.
He was like the quietest one to go in. Like he just was like, all right, I'm leaving, and then left. Like no photos, no like. Nothing.
But there wasn't really a need to, because like with Jin and J-Hope, you know, they went off to military base. I'm pretty sure Yoongi's like probably at home right now sleeping or doing something.
Wow.
He's at home chilling.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was like, just like, oh, he's gone now. Like, all right.
It's different for like the civil service, which also makes me question, do you guys think he's going to be the only one doing that? Or you think any of the remainder 4,
I think he might be
active?
Because the only reason why he's doing civil is because he had that shoulder injury, right?
Yeah.
And even though he got the surgery, it seems like they deemed him not clear enough to do
because it was such a
active,
major surgery that he ended up doing that. But not that I know of, nobody else has had any kind of injury or whatever to that extent. So I feel like he'll probably be the only one. Yeah, right. He'll probably be the only one as of right now that'll do the civil servant route, unless I think kind of like Taemin, where he gets in and they see like, you know, I think it was anxiety and kind of things like that Taemin was suffering from, and they kind of moved him over to civil servant. So unless you see anything like that, it'll probably be just the regular route. Which shout out to all the military men in Korea, because when we get to that portion, they are really good looking.
Oh my god. Every time I see a new picture of Jin, I'm like, how are you just getting finer by the day?
They are very good looking.
Oh my god.
So yeah.
I know a lot of people were upset, but I was like, you know what? I'm not mad anymore.
Upset about what?
Them going?
About them having to go. And then the new thing too about they exempt
the esports.
Gamers. I don't want to talk too much in it. I'm just letting you know. They exempt the gamers from having to do enlistment. And that's another thing that's been going on the past couple days.
We've talked about, I think it was the last time I was on here, we had that conversation about if they didn't go, it would be an uproar.
Yeah.
So, and they wanted to go. It wasn't that they didn't want to go.
Say they didn't want to go.
Right. And they can't. So even if they didn't, they can't. But they've never said that they didn't want to go from day one. They always said that they were going to go. It was the government that came out and were like, but y'all are making us money, and doing a year and a half, 2 years, 5 years, whatever, of y'all not making us money could be a problem. I mean, and again, we'll get to this later, but the Scouts Jamboree, it was an actual talking point of pulling them out to perform in front of the Scouts to save face. So, I mean,
you don't make money if you're in the military and you do some type of performance. And I figured that out when I saw the rapper that I like, DY, when he was still doing his service, even though he was in civil. I think he did like some type of festival, but he didn't make money off that. He's not allowed to. That's illegal.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anytime you see them post something, it's really probably their social media managers, or sell anything or do any kind of performance. They're not allowed to make money while they're performing their service. So it's all kind of just, hey, I'm still here.
Yeah. To stay relevant, really.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why with Ravi, that became a big talking point too from Vix. Yeah. That was interesting. But he quietly went, and I don't know if I'm sure there is still going to be any legal proceedings, but that wasn't interesting.
I thought he also had to serve prison time, no?
Probably. Oh, I
thought he had to serve prison time first and then he's going in.
Oh, is it? I kind of fell off on watching that. I just know that he enlisted. I don't know if he actually went in, so they might do the court thing first and then have him. But all I know is
he doing military prison like that guy from Big Bang?
Probably, because it's past his time. That's I remember thinking and asking my sister, because he would like announce a tour. And I was like, this man is like my age, if not like a little bit younger. And I don't remember him serving earlier because I've been a fan of Vix for a while. And sometimes they'll do it really quickly and, I wasn't paying attention. No, I was like, nah, I'm pretty sure he hasn't. And everybody else in his group is going. So yeah, that was interesting. And then literally like a month or a few weeks later, it dropped that whole thing had come out, and then it was like also like, oh, he quickly went in back in October or whatever, and I was like, oh, okay. And then of course now it's like the legal stuff. So yeah, they don't have a choice. I know besides the esports guys, I know Sonny from Tottenham, the also was exempt because they won the Champions League. So
the soccer player.
Sonny.
Yes, I remember that as well.
So they can do it, and I don't mind them doing it. It's just I know BTS would have been like one of the first few ones, at least idol wise, that would have been exempt. And of course, with the fan wars between everybody, it wouldn't have gone down so well. So I knew they went.
I also think that's a different conversation that I don't want to be on too much about, like how arts is also still continuing to be looked as. Because sports is anywhere in this world considered more important than like the arts. So
it's all about making money. It's all about making money. That's
the
why
arts don't make money, but okay.
Right, exactly.
I want to clear up what I meant by the arts, especially in music, because I actually do believe, and again, someone correct me if I'm wrong, I thought they also exempt musicians on like a classical level. So if you play instruments like in the orchestra, like cello, violin, maybe piano as well. I don't know much about orchestras. But I do think you can get exempt from those as well. Again, like with the esports, as long as you win some type of like medal or whatever the highest award is in like competitions. So really when I meant like the arts don't get taken seriously, there's also, hierarchy in the arts as well. As much as we don't want to admit that, because there are certain ones that are seen as being more like highbrow, if we want to say it like that, than others. I mostly meant arts that are in pop culture and are considered like popular. Those are very looked down upon. Again, especially with like the K-pop industry, because it's really not that big in Korea. And if you listen to our part 2, Briana talks about that a little bit. But yeah, honestly, I really don't see them ever exempting male idols from the military, again, unless it has to do with like an injury or something, but not on a level like with them getting exempt.
Oh, that's why, I mean, even in the States, we don't have mandatory service, but even criminally, athletes are treated different than other people. So if they do something as a layman, as a regular citizen, we would get in way more trouble, whereas they get a slap on the wrist, unless it's obviously egregious. You're starting to see that in the arts, but it was always athletes first. I mean, look at OJ.
The OG.
I mean, and I'm not trying to, bring that up, but that was definitely, it was very divided on, for other reasons too. That was a whole different thing, but yeah.
Because I was listening to one of my podcasts, Brianna, I was telling you before we left, when we met up with each other, I was like, the ones that keep me black. They were saying how there are certain conspiracies where they thought OJ got off so quickly because it was happening around the same time as Rodney King.
It was that definitely, if you watch any documentary on that case, that's why it became a huge racial thing. Black people were like, he's innocent. White people were like, he's not. I don't remember which document or which one I watched. They took pictures down in his house and put up pictures of black people to sympathize with black people more, when in reality he was not, very sympathetic to us. It was a very interesting thing.
Yeah.
OJ was never really for the black people, but because Rodney King had happened and it was very much here we go, y'all are just trying to, whatever. They did. But if you ask any black person now whether OJ did it or not, to be, hee hee ha ha, most of them will be like, nah, he didn't. But we all on the inside know.
I love how that's like the collective conclusion.
No, it really
too.
is. We all think that.
Oh, that was probably the one thing you could get a lot of people to agree on. For the most part, is like, yeah, OJ.
It's like we know.
When you're in front of white people, OJ didn't do it. When you're not in front of white people, yeah, OJ totally did. Never let them see us be wrong, so
we have to stay united front.
Yeah, we're united on certain things, and that's one of them.
And then even though that's crumbling as online more, but 100%. We're gonna move on to the topic of 3D so we don't keep talking about this. So you guys watched it this morning. Mm-hmm. Well, like when I had called you, so I had watched at least some of your facial reactions, at least the faces. I was over here cackling. But let me get your ideas but your feelings about the song, especially since their first reaction. So we'll start with Nafis, since I've been doing a lot of the talking.
So I actually like it better they're both catchy, but like I like this one better than 7, at least the music video. It felt like aesthetically clean and like pleasant to watch, whereas like 7 was like more chaotic.
It was fun chaotic. Okay.
Yeah, it was fun chaotic, but it was just chaotic. But this one was like nice. I was able to like follow along, so it was good. I liked it. I didn't like Jack Harlow's verses, unfortunately. But overall, first vibe, I really liked it. And you're right, it has a lot. It's more subtle. What he's trying to say?
It is more subtle.
It's a little bit more subtle, yeah.
Because I do. Well, I always keep saying this, but yes, I do TikToks now, guys. If you haven't heard, I'm doing pretty well. Also, I have to brag.
You gotta drop the handle.
I do at the end. I do at the end. But I had said when the teaser had first came out, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be like more explicit than 7. This is probably like going to go into detail. Like 7 was just telling you he wants to fuck you 7 days a week. This is gonna tell you how he wants to." And then when I heard it, I was like, "Oh wait, this is actually more like toned down.
Yeah.
You're still right. He still told you how. He just did
He
it
still told
subtly.
you how, but it was more on the innuendo type.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, so like you had to really be paying attention and listening and know what he was saying to like pick up on it. But I still feel like it's digestible for like the audience. Like I know 7 has a clean and a explicit version, but I do feel like 3D is more digestible in general. Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Like, yes,
I was
but
trying
no.
to think of, that's why I stopped talking. I was like, wait.
Like, I mean, they're not explicitly, no pun intended, saying
Except for
right
Jack.
that, all the stuffs. But I mean, the innuendos are innuendoing, but they're like, I don't even want to say they're innuendos. They're kind of just like, I mean, in the terms of the word, yes, but like champagne showers, we all know it. He ain't talking about champagne.
Apparently we don't. And I just want to also say this before we continue. This also goes for my fellow listeners and fans who don't live in America. A lot of it is like, I feel like things Americans will pick up. Please stop using Urban Dictionary to find out meanings of things. Please. I'd rather you just go online, get rid of the pride, and just ask what this means. An American, especially an African American, will be gladly to tell you. I had to see a screenshot from Urban Dictionary of what shrooms mean, which is a drug for mushrooms, not whatever sexual meaning they got from Urban Dictionary.
Wait.
I was like, okay, no, I need you guys to just start asking.
Urban Dictionary is usually pretty reliable, but I didn't know that. Okay.
No, that description I saw.
I knew shrooms was about
from
drugs.
Urban Dictionary. I'm like, I had never heard about this in my life.
Really?
I'm dead.
In a sexual sense, no. Have you, Nafis?
No.
Am I the one that's been left out?
I mean, are we just?
No, I thought he was talking about drugs. Was he not?
Yes, that's what I mean. He's talking about drugs in the song. Someone had posted a description from Urban Dictionary about shrooms, but they were saying shrooms meant something in a sexual manner, even too much to where I don't want to repeat what I saw.
And that was the top result?
I see I see the confusion.
Was that the top result? I don't think that was the top result on Urban Dictionary.
I don't know if it was the top result. I don't know if they scrolled.
Urban Dictionary has served me well, sometimes when my black card is lacking. But
Briana, don't call yourself out.
I will straight up look. And there's that whole diaspora discourse as well. But I am one of the diaspora. So my parents are, immigrants. I am first gen. Some of that stuff flies over my head. I'm like, yeah, I am black in color, but sometimes not in culture. Listen, and I must use the Urban Dictionary.
As a black girl who grew up in a predominantly white, and when I say predominantly, I mean like 90%
y'all
white.
Y'all integrated the neighborhood.
So I feel you on that. I understand. Sometimes I have to be quiet with those old discourse of like, especially when music and like in that era, early 90s or late 90s, early 2000s, where it's like, I'm gonna just sit over here.
Yep. I'm gonna learn. Let me take notes. Like, hold up.
Also, I had at least one parent who was very Christian, so it's like I wasn't exposed to this.
I felt that.
Honestly, the only context I heard that word in was drugs. So like, I didn't even think it would be anything else.
Same. But I liked it. I liked it. I'm on the opposite sense. I loved 7. I love 7
too.
I like 3D, and I think the reason why 7 for me gets a little bit of a head up over 3D is because Jack Harlow. I've never been on the Jack Harlow train. Even before this, I was just kind of like, yeah, all right. But the song is great. The video is great. The innuendos in the video are great. Shout out to Brian for the choreography because he never disappoints with choreography. The fire hydrant, and that was a definite on the nose innuendo. I said, "Oh, okay, JK, I see you."
I didn't even realize that.
Oh yes, that was definitely one of my like. Oh, I see you. Okay, he grown now.
I was like, why? Okay, because I was like, why do you do
go back
that?
and watch it and just think of it with that lens on, and a lot of it will be like, oh, okay.
Oh my gosh.
I did see one person on Twitter, I believe, that was like, I don't know if you saw her. She was like, the reason why JK was floating is to give you the
Yes, I saw like the staircase.
I didn't even
like,
realize
he's
that
going
too.
up. Like, yes, I
that
saw that.
and like him over you. I was like,
Oh my god, I did it.
my God.
Wow.
My
Right,
eyes.
we love a partner who cares about their other partner's, pleasure as well. So that's another thing I like about this song. Like, and also I feel like that was 7 too, even though it was more in your face. Like, consent is key. It's sexy, okay?
He took everything into account.
We love a man who likes consent.
Preach.
And I need more of that.
Get it, JK. He's still too young for me, but we'll get it. I will
We've
say
had this conversation before.
it's so funny because when I first started, like back with Dope, getting into BTS, he was like the first person I looked at, and then I realized how old he was, and I said, "Oop, that cannot, no,
Yeah.
cannot," and I moved on. So it's like now it's so funny to watch him as a like grown, like singing about these things, and this is where I know we've had this conversation. It's like for me, I'm like, oh, you grown now, like you're showing us you grown, and other people are like, oh my God, he's still a bit like, no,
no,
this man is grown.
Let him be grown.
He's definitely probably maybe had women,
maybe
multiple, or men, who knows. I'm not one to judge, so do your thing. But yeah, I'm like, okay, JK, I see you. You're showing us now. I'm not one of those like, oh my God, go back to being baby. Like, nah, we love the abs. Let's go.
It's just also weird for me, like when certain people say that, I'm like, are you all also not the same ones who either write or read fanfic and are always talking about like you want to see more, even back in the earlier days when it wasn't appropriate?
Right.
Like, so now that he's acknowledging it, you have a problem, but it was okay when you guys would talk about it and they didn't acknowledge it.
And my thing is like I remember early armies before really BTS, like when we would barely get knees and shoulders, and everybody was like, oh my God, we saw a shoulder. It's like, okay, now he's showing you
like
more
an
now,
ankle.
right? And now y'all are like, oh wait, oh my God, put it away. It's like pick one. Don't do this weird like fangirl energy of like, oh my God, show us this, show us that, and then they do it and you're like, oh my God, my eyes. I'm like, no, stop, grow up.
Because I also do see it as like a weird microaggression, especially like the ones who are not Asian towards Asians. Because like we already know the statistics, Asian men aren't really seen as being attractive like that. I think it is increasing because of K-pop and like K-dramas, not even just those, but like other forms of Asian media. Like I know Taiwanese.
Yep, Thai dramas are Japanese rock has always been pretty popular. Yeah,
but it's the thing where it's like you guys don't see them as human because it's either the very old myth of like seeing them as like nothing but dumb, so you don't think they know anything when they call them a baby, or like saying he doesn't know what sex is. Like this is again a 26-year-old grown ass man.
Yep.
But then it also goes to the newfound model minority myth, even though he's not Asian American, but it's like we only see them as being these heavily smart people to where they're robots. So they don't have any type of human emotions or like.
Again, it's the infantilization. I can't get that word out.
I can never say it right either.
Of K-pop artists. It's ridiculous. And it's the complete opposite with women. It's like they want them to be these like grown sexual objects, but then the men, it's like, oh my God, you're a baby. You've never touched a girl. You've never seen a girl. You've never spoken to a girl. And it's like, nah, bro. Like you guys,
like even with the women, they want them to be like that, but they also don't want them to be touching men, or dating men,
right? So it's weird. It's a weird, and the people need to stop and just allow these people to be and make the music that they want to make, and stop saying like, oh, that's being pushed.
Also, when I had brought up like the example of fanfics, I also should have mentioned the double standards of like chapter 2, like when Tay said on Suchi Chua, even though again all men do is lie, how chapter 2 isn't about taking their shirts off, which is not. I know what he meant, but as a joke, they have been taking their shirts off lately. But it's also the double standard of that, where you're hype about the shirt being taken off and seeing, their body, the chest, the abs. And then they release songs like this, and everyone's in an uproar. I also should have mentioned shipping. That could be a whole different conversation, but there is definitely a double standard in shipping, whether you ship two idols from separate groups together, and that can get chaotic. There's also a reason why idols nowadays are more afraid than ever to really be seen together, especially if they're the opposite sex, man and woman, or just shipping idols with members of the same sex and also being homophobic at the same time. Again, we don't have time to talk about that, especially in the climate that we are in, just in the world, and just how so dangerous it is for queer people, if we're being completely honest, especially in the K-pop industry. Okay? But that's another thing that's just annoying, because y'all attack anyone who, especially fans, may feel represented, that they may have an idol. Again, I don't assume anyone's sexuality, but at least if they have an idol and they show they're at least in support of the LGBTIA+. I mess up on the acronym sometimes. I apologize. But if they're just show any type of allyship to the queer community, a lot of people go up in arms.
That's funny though, because in the earlier generations of like K-pop, they were intermingling and like friends too. So it's like it's a recent development. This whole like
it definitely is.
I don't know, because it was around there. They still didn't want them to date. They were okay with interaction. I mean, for goodness sake, they had a whole show about it, where the idols would marry each other and live with each other, and even then, people would be like, "Oh my god, you didn't." Like, so it was. It's
I remember Eric Nom talked about it briefly when
with
he
Solar.
did it with Solar. So
and then so they had whole shows about it. I don't know when. I don't know. Dating scandals have always been a thing, and but it's just, they only did it in ways that they wanted them to. It was like a very weirdly controlled environment, and I'm glad it's slowly starting to break out. But again, with internet, with more social media, I think that's also become a huge portion of it. It's like now people are commenting on it. Before it used to be like in person. Like we would really never have a say, but the K-nets would always be like in person, and they would do really creepy and odd things, the stuff that would trickle over here, with poisoning their idols and sending them period blood. And it's so weird.
Surprised. That was someone from TVXQ that was poisoned, right? Yeah. I'm just surprised he's more like mentally stable that I can see from a TV screen, because I would have been done right then and there.
I mean, the period blood thing,
that was weird. Why?
It is like, it's so, I mean,
and they've been having fights too. I heard they used to have like fights, like they've been cutting each other up over fan wars. Like this Twitter thing is nothing. They used to physically brawl,
fight each other. So it was a very weird time. Now you see them like being followed and entering hotel rooms. So I feel like things haven't changed. It's just now it's more out there. And again, people are doing this for clicks and likes and views and whatever, which has added a whole other component to it. So I don't know. I feel like people just need to enjoy it. I wish they would, and I don't even want to say adopt a more Western view of artists, because again, we have our own problems with our artists here, but at least it's not like with the Taylor Swift and the football player thing. I don't even know his name, which is awful. Travis something.
I don't care.
I mean, it's like blown up here to where like now our fans are watching football just to see if they can see Taylor. It's not like, oh my God, you're dating. And I'm sure there are like, oh, you can't date Taylor. But everybody's like playing on like, ooh, if it doesn't last, she's going to make a song about it. Or, ooh, the drama with his ex. And oh my God, she's going to make us like, we're very like, ooh, let's see what happens. Whereas with Kate, like people, they're just, right. We're here with popcorn. They're there with like, oh my God. Like you're dating? You're looking at a girl that's not your fans? Like, like or they want it to be them. Like, oh, it's just like, oh, now it can't be. I don't know.
That's why you always
weird.
see, even if it's not another idol, like someone will just be so butthurt. Like,
Yes.
like with Jungkook being on TikTok and the things he would like, especially he follows a lot of dancers. So like you would see the difference if he like maybe liked a video from a male dancer to compare it if they were women, especially if that woman was pretty.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I feel I hope.
And why are you guys also monitoring his likes like that? Like, why do you care so much?
That was his hidden account, and of course he accidentally shared it. But I mean, damn, like these people found it, and then they're like monitoring his likes or his. I don't know. I find that so weird. I've always found that weird, even with Western artists. Like, oh my God, they unfollowed each other. I'm like, how did you even know?
Like, why are you monitoring this? Why do you care?
Yes. Like, oh my gosh, they don't follow each other. Oh, they followed each other. It's like, wow, who sits there and monitors their follows and like that's
because social
wild
media also
to
doesn't
me.
mean they don't talk.
Right.
Like, it doesn't mean they're not friends.
Again, the best thing BTS could have done was make their accounts like no comments and pretty much, I don't know, like they just don't follow anybody other than themselves for the most part. So
yeah, and I don't know how that works because, you know, Instagram's new thing where it's like it still shows you posts even if you don't follow them. So I don't even know what they see, honestly.
Do they see anything?
I don't know. Are they even on their Instagrams like that? Or do they just post and dip?
Right. Or they might have a business account and their actual personal, like before JK's got found, that was his personal TikTok account that he could go and like whatever he wanted because nobody was following him. Like, you know, he could be more himself. But now that it's been found, I'm sure it's gone back to, or maybe he's got another one out there. Who knows?
Who knows? He probably does.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's like, dang it, they found this one. I got to go make another one. But you know, they probably do the exact same thing. It's crazy how they can't just live their lives. Just let these people live. And then they wonder how depression and anxiety affect them because they can't be their true self.
Yeah.
Let this man talk about having sex. Leave him alone.
I mean, it's his second song, so.
Yes.
Exactly. He's following a theme.
He is. And it was so funny because I don't remember Wonho getting the same
you're right.
discourse.
People,
when he dropped
his.
It was like, ooh, get it, Wonho. Like, and again, maybe it was just the discourse I was seeing from the West.
You know, I think with him though, because like he was kicked out first, and then he like roused this, so they probably appreciated the comeback more.
Yes, that's true.
Yes,
that's true.
Like we all knew he shouldn't have gotten kicked out. But also, how old was Wonho when Monsta X debuted?
I want to say he was like in his early 20s.
So that's a difference.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing
even
too.
Then,
with like,
is it like, damn? I mean, I get JK was 16, but damn. Or 15.
The way I'm seeing ARMYs, even if they weren't following BTS from the beginning, but when they go back and watch old videos, I don't know what it is about Jungkook specifically where they can't stop seeing him as the 15-year-old that debut.
Right. It's because he still has a baby face. That's why.
Yeah. I don't know if other idols get this. I don't know if Taemin gets this. Does any other idol get this besides JK?
No. And if you want to put another young person in perspective, Taemin was what, 14?
I think he was probably the same age around.
Something. When he debuted, I mean, he was a cute little coconut head boy. But I mean,
I'm so glad those hairstyles died.
Oh, same. But it's just like he's putting out, I guess, not blatantly sexual to this extent songs, but Taemin has put out some sensual songs and nobody's giving him the slack. But maybe it's, I don't know, because we've watched him grow up too.
Because that's another thing too, where I'm like, when I am going to call out my own fan, I'm going to call out ARMY when they be getting on other K-pop stands and talking about y'all don't read your faves lyrics. Apparently y'all don't either, because this has been going on even with BTS as a group for a while. Right. Converse High.
Yep.
Anybody? Anyone? No? Okay. And that's why, like, me and Macy, I don't remember if we talked about this when we recorded or not, but I was like, there are plenty of ARMY translators who take the day out of their time and free will, not getting paid, which a lot of them should be, to translate and also even go deeper into like what a specific word like may have and like even the double meanings. But even with that, I also notice if they bring up if one of the meanings has a sexual meaning to it, fans are quick to be like, oh no, that's not what they meant. Like they meant this. And like, Becky from Kansas, how do you know? You speak Korean. You read Hangul.
Yeah, well, I remember they were on that, it was like a variety show or whatever that they were on, and they had asked them, like, which one do you watch porn? And they were like,
Oh, yeah.
I remember watching
remember
that. I can't find that anymore, but I remember watching that. And like, I think they said they used Namjoon's computer because that's the one that got the most viruses.
Yes. So, I mean, they've been telling us since day one. A lot of artists have been telling us since day one. But again, it's they make them into these babies. Like, they can do no wrong. They're so pure. And it's like, no, they can do what they're grown. They can do whatever they want.
I do blame K-pop system a little bit for that, the way they have manufactured it to be like the boyfriend and girlfriend thing. Blame Lee Soo-man, okay? Ain't he the one that had one of his groups have the blood in the necklace so they could be closer to you? I don't remember what group that was. I came across the video of that interview. I can't remember what group it was. It was one of the early groups too. So
probably. It seems like one of those things that they would do.
I had also said this in a TikTok video and it was bothering me. I looked it up and I was correct. It was with the group HOT. I couldn't remember how early he had done that, but it was with HOT and we had only found that out because back in 2021, the member who name was Tony, I'm assuming that's just a stage name, is not his actual name, had came out and talked about the necklaces. Like if you Google it, it'll come up. I promise you. But it's with HOT, these like ginormous necklaces. He put he asked them, I'm not sure if they ever went through with it or not. They had to have had, but blood and their piece of hair and something about like advertising it as like DNA and like the member's DNA would be with you. It's sick, okay? It's sick and it's weird, but it does exist. So once again, I blame Lee Soo-man.
Yeah, I don't know. I think preventing them from dating, I mean, looking as close as to Hyuna and E'Dawn, which congrats on being back together. Thank you.
They're back together?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like, leave these people, let them date. There's nothing wrong with them dating. And that's why when you see Chen going away, getting married and have a kid, and they wanted him kicked from the group, I'm like, bro. Same thing with Bobby. It's like Bobby went away, had a kid, got married. Let these people, they shouldn't have to reach their 40s and 50s. We're looking at Super Junior here who still are not married or dating or have any children, and they're in their freaking 40s. Like, this is why these
because it stunts them from growing and having that normal human experience.
It stunts their children from having younger parents. I mean, I hate to say that, but having a mom and dad when you are like 1 to 2 years old in their 50s, I get tired around children in my 30s at a young age, let alone you're now at the older portion of your life where you should be watching your kids go off to college or graduating high school, and you're now having a 1 to 2 to 3 year old. Like, no. That's why we're looking at like Tableau. Tableau's relatively had Haru at a younger age, and he's enjoying it, and he's still going on tour. He hasn't let Haru has a good relationship with her dad. And I know that he had his own controversy back in the day, which was stupid.
Me and Macy talked about it a little bit when we did our Epic High
the dumbest
episode.
Thing ever.
You can listen to it more on the iHeartRadio that he did, the special that he did, because it's really sad. I had said like they try to Avril Lavigne him, and it's just like ridiculous. Like, I'm glad he's somewhat okay. I know sometimes, like, I follow him on Twitter. He's very real.
Hilarious.
Also.
Yes.
Yes. And he talks about, how that stuff still affects him. And it's like, that's understandable.
Yeah, back when he was doing his Dive Studio podcast, he talked about that.
I miss his podcast so much. This was my favorite.
Bring it back, Tableau, please. I know you're busy, but please, once in a while, just bring it in. But yeah, it's there. We hold them up to this unrealistic standard. And then they don't get to have the lives that they want, or they suffer from these different mental illnesses because they're under such heavy scrutiny. And I get it. I get the cultural differences, but at the same time, that is something that you could alleviate them from. They're doing well.
Have y'all seen the articles back to back I've been seeing about Lisa? I know Blackpink is still like, are they together? Are they not? But apparently she is in Paris right now doing some type of like cabaret adult show. And like, I've just been seeing article of people eating her up. I'm like, you guys can't even see these performances because it seems like it may be like the mature side to where some of them get nude. Right. I don't think she's doing that. And even if she is, again, she's a 26-year-old grown woman.
She's grown. Leave her alone. It's the same thing with Jenny.
She's not even doing it in Korea. She is in Paris. Right. She's in a completely different country.
It's the same thing with Jenny. It's when she was in that, I don't know, the show with The Weeknd and all that was going on. Granted, the show aside. Like, leave her alone. Like, let her do whatever she wants. Like, oh, she probably didn't want to do, like, she's in it. Like, if she doesn't want
to. She signed up for it. She signed a contract to be in the show.
She doesn't have to be in it if she doesn't want to.
If anything, I feel like that's something YG wouldn't want her to do.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. It's wild. Again, people put their perception of what they think these idols are onto them, and they're showing you like, this is what I want to do. Nobody is forcing them to do that. Leave them alone and let them do what they want. It's crazy. You have a right. And I think that goes back to them. They have a right to not like it. You don't have to like everything your artist does, but they don't have to listen to everything you like either. Like, they don't have to do everything that you like. They want to do this. Let them do it. If you don't like it, then don't watch it. But that's something that they wanted to do. So leave them alone. I don't know. It's annoying.
Yeah, no, it is. And it's like with K-pop, and I think just culture, celebrity culture in general, I am going to just go ahead and say it. It also brings us to a bigger picture where, like, I guess I didn't realize people are more conservative than they want to say they are. And I don't mean that in a bad way. And I don't mean that in a political way, but like, it really comes out when there's any type of topic, whether it's in music or in movies surrounding sex.
Right. Yeah.
That's really when people do it. Because a lot of the talking points I'm seeing about JK and 3 is what I remember seeing when Cardi B and Megan came out with WAP back in 2020. Again, more on like the explicit side, but it's like, it's the same talking points I was seeing, you know, people say about that. Yeah. Or just like rap in general. Right. And I think people need to understand too, because like the arguments I've been seeing about Jack Harlow's and like how they're misogynistic. And I understand that, especially the history we have in like rap and being misogynistic towards women and just like very violent towards women. There are plenty hip hop and rappers who don't talk about that stuff, but they're not mainstream. Right. Right. Like, this is the stuff that gets them the money. So of course that's all you know, because that's what's more exposed. Correct. But there are artists that don't talk about that you can find if you really like this type of like music. And I think that's why a lot of people gravitate towards K-pop. I'm going to be honest. But at the same time, like, I don't think they pick up on that because of the language barriers. Right. At least here. And probably in Korea, too. I'm not really sure, because I know hip hop is popular over there, but I just like, I don't know if they understand. That's another thing where it's like, it's just interesting to see the world that we're in and like crossing cultures. But then like, there's all these like misinterpretations or misunderstandings. And it's like, then that's when we cause like the arguments between each other. I just don't know how to go about it. But yeah, it's just interesting, like, when you see the topic of sex brought up. And like, I think it's honestly sad. I wish we came to a point not to be able to just express it, but it's like, it's just so stigmatized to where like, I feel like it's doing a lot of harm to us. Like, we're not learning how to have any type of safe sex. We're not learning how to prevent any type of diseases or infections. People are more worried about getting pregnant than diseases or infections. They're both, take it how you want, but still, it's like, it's affecting school systems as well. Like, I wish we could just get to a point where it's not too vulgar, but it's still enough to where we can just have safe, healthy conversations to make people are safe. Okay, so in this, I also want to talk about how I am just so saddened and upset that topics around sex are just so dehumanized and makes people feel embarrassed, not only just to be safe, but just to allow us, whether you're young, old, to know when you're being taken advantage of in that way. That's why I praise 3D for being so consensual in the lyrics as it is. Didn't really get to touch on the Jack Harlow lyrics like I wanted to. As someone who is not Asian, let alone Asian American,
or an Asian American woman. I cannot speak on that ABG line. Plenty of creators can talk about that, like on TikTok or Twitter, who have more information on that than me. The part when he was talking about having other girls, personally, I thought he was talking about himself. But again, that's the thing about like music. It can be, left to the listener's interpretation. In most cases, unless Jack Harlow comes out and like explain the lyrics, which I don't see him doing. But no, we're living in a very dangerous time. That can go into a lot of other things, like outside the arts and like politically, where like consent is just like non-existent, to the point where people are being killed from not having an understanding of what consent means and making up all these excuses, being like, oh, well, you led me on, you wanted this, and now you're saying no because people have a right to change their minds, things like that. This may be a separate issue with just like the increase of all these like incels that having platforms and teaching these young boys to like not respect basically anyone. Yes, mostly like women and anyone feminine presenting and queer people, but honestly, just anyone, even themselves. That, again, touchy subject. I'm just so heartbroken about the young girl that had to lose her life trying to save her friend because a boy didn't know how to take rejection. But yeah, it all ties in together. So I wanted to say that as well, because I didn't get to bring it up, but consent is huge. And it just makes me sad we can't find a way to be more open and honest about it in conversations without having to get like nasty and explicit.
Well, this goes back to parents need to pay attention to what their kids listen to. You got to get involved with your kid's life. Like,
you do.
Like, I get it with K-pop. A lot of the parents are like, you don't understand what they're saying, but we have translators now. You can go look it up. And granted, most kids aren't really going out there. And actually, let me put it into this. When I was getting into K-pop in 2009, a lot of the videos, and even to this day, don't have lyrics on them.
Yeah.
So you were literally just listening to the vibes, like, ooh. And the only time you knew something was explicit or at least sexual was A, if you got to the lyrics and were able to read them, like, oh my God. Or B, the video.
Mm-hmm.
like they said it in English.
Like, right. Or no, just like what they're showing on the video.
Oh, okay,
there were some second gen videos that we were like, oh my God. So it's just like, oh, okay, that was pretty much it. You either had to really deep dive and go find the lyrics, or B, the video had the lyrics, or C, somebody translated it. It was just like, so you really didn't know. You were just listening to the vibes and watching how cute the videos were. It wasn't until later, or you would see like with Neurotic, with TVXQ, the fact that it was banned for saying like, and again, that was at the time was like, for us coming from the States, like, you got me under your skin. Like, that is not explicit at all.
Mm-hmm.
But in Korea, because they're extremely conservative, that was something that you couldn't, like, they just banned it from TV. So it was just like, I don't know. You have to really, like, the States don't really watch that, we release everything on TV with the exception of like some curse words and nudity and stuff like that. But you really have to pay attention to what your kids are listening to. And the artist is not responsible for that. Just because it's K-pop doesn't automatically make it squeaky clean. And just because it's rap doesn't mean it's automatically explicit. Just like you said, there's artists out there that you can listen to that do not go into that. But it falls back on your responsibility as a parent or as an adult to let your kids know or people know what they can and can't listen to. I don't know. It's annoying to put that all back on the artist.
Because even adult-wise, I have been saying, like, I think the past 2 episodes me and Nafis recorded, I sound like a broken record. It's the thing about being like your moral compass.
Yes.
And it's like, you're applying your own moral compass that you usually use outside of like the arts on these artists, whether it is an actor, whether it is a musical artist. Right. It's like, if you're going to keep doing that, you just need to find artists that fit your moral compass instead of trying to make these ones
right.
Fit yours. Yeah.
How you want them to be. Like, get the fantasy out of your head.
Yeah. It's okay to not like everything. That's another thing I think K-pop stans need to wrap their head around. You do not have to like every song by an artist. That doesn't make you a solo stan. It doesn't make you a non-fan of whatever group you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's the most irritating thing to see, like, I didn't like the song. Oh my God, then you're not a fan. It's like, no, I just didn't like this song. Like, it's okay. And again, of course, if you're bashing, that's a completely different thing. But you cannot.
My annoyance is like if you're bashing the artist that did it and saying they're this type of way, they're changing to this type of person. It's like, no, just say you don't like the song and move on. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
But we've become like this, like, I hate to say it, it feels very cult-like, where it's like, oh, you didn't like it? How could you not? What didn't you like? It's like, I just did it. It didn't vibe with me. Like, it's okay. But I don't know.
brought this up when me and Nafisa a while ago, maybe a year or two, whenever BTS first got nominated for a Grammy. And I had said, the reason you don't see me on any type of social media talking about charts and awards is that I never thought since the beginning, because this is something I've always liked since a child, that awards are, or even charts, like music charts, are accurately, like, I don't like using measurements when it comes to rating art, because the art is supposed to be something that's so different, that's supposed to reach broader people. And not everyone is going to like every type of art. And it doesn't even have to do with like music, TV. That can be with like paintings. That can be with like sculptures, design buildings and like structures. Like, honestly, you can even break it down to like how certain people will aesthetically like design their living room or something. So it's just like, I don't feel like those are good measurements. But in the sense of entertainment, I understand why they're important, because it gives that artist exposure. It gives them money to continue to make their work. It, you know, gives them all opportunities. And like, I am seeing this with K-pop just because they are trying to break out more into the West. And I know how K-pop fans, especially Western K-pop fans, can get, because it is something that's already like, I don't know if stigmatized is the right word, but it's like people still make fun of us for listening to this. So I get the frustration, but at the same time, if you really want them to do well, especially because these K-pop companies are going to keep pushing in the West, like they've already made it clear that they want to break into the Western market. You're going to have to be okay with criticism. And again, I understand that could be tricky, because certain criticism, especially people who claim to be critiques, do it in a way that almost sounds xenophobic. But you cannot attack the ones who are actually just trying to break down the song and talking about why this song may be good or why this one may not be, or why this one may be more critically acclaimed for like a non-pop, you know, mainstream crowd, but it vibes with other people who are more musical listeners and just things like that. So
it's annoying.
It's annoying and it's complicated.
It is, definitely.
And like, even with us here, like, I wish online we could have more healthy discourse about this. But again, it's the internet. We can't.
That is true.
Unfortunately.
We cannot. It's, I don't know. I don't see it getting better. I feel like it's going to get worse. But hopefully, people will kind of just loosen up. I feel like that's just what needs to happen. Like, just stop bashing each other. Just listen to the music and enjoy it. And I think that's what, at least me being a multi-stan, that kind of helps. It's like, I don't listen to it to be like, oh my God, it's there. Like, I enjoy the music. Just like I didn't do that when I listened to Western music either. I wasn't like one of those Britney versus whoever, or Beyonce versus whoever, something like that. I don't even know. It's just like, I just like the music.
Or like now, Nicki versus Cardi B.
Right, Nicki versus Cardi. It's like, I'm just listening to music. These people wouldn't blink twice if they saw me. I'm not going to blink twice and ride or die support them. It's just like, I just like the music. I don't care about your personal life. Do your thing. You're going to get in trouble or not my problem. Don't really care.
I mean, as long as they're not out there like trying to murder people. Then
exactly.
Murder people, sexual assault, hurting children.
Right.
I care about those things, actually. That's my moral compass, to where I know what artists to listen to, which ones not
and
to.
like, I won't support you based on that. Like, if you're doing criminal stuff, I'm not going to support you. But if y'all are just like, oh my God, like the tit for tat stuff, no, I'm not here for that.
Yeah. One more thing before we move on. I just want to say, I still don't understand the argument about when they say K-pop
is getting too Western, or K-pop groups are getting too Western, because isn't K-pop, and I'm talking about physically, like K-pop, just K-pop, derived from the West in general, especially Black African American
yes, it
Western
is.
music. If you go back and watch old videos from like the 90s when they first started out, wasn't the group that YG broke up so he can marry one of those girls? We ain't gonna talk about that. But weren't they basically trying to be a TLC? So if anything, when a group becomes more Westernized, they're just going back to the roots. The only reason it's different now is because the way K-pop as a whole is structured, as far as training, as far as like dancing, the group, concerts like light sticks, fan chants, all that. But as far as the music itself, I don't understand that argument or when people bring that up. And I never did. And I feel like I said that before, but I'm just going to re-emphasize that.
Yep. Nope. You're right. 100%. So it's funny to see that change.
Yeah.
Like, oh my
Especially
God.
since they're starting to make like groups with Western people. And stop disrespecting Black Swan also, because that's the reason why they're also doing that too. Black Swan's the blueprint. I don't care if you like their music or not, but don't disrespect them. That's the group I mean when I was talking about the colorism last time with Nafisa. It was like, that is actually a good representation if you want some type of diversity in a group.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys, so that was the end of part 1. And like I said at the very beginning, part 2 is going to be about Briana's actual trip to Singapore and South Korea. So if you're interested, in case you want to go to any of those places as well, planning a trip, need to know, look out for that. And also, just with BTS themselves, can we please just get to a point? I know about the earlier days about being so hyped that their music has deeper meanings, that it speaks to people. But I just want to get to a point, especially now, especially since they've just been music for a very, very long time. Let's just have fun with these songs. It is okay if they want to release just a fun, meaningless song every now and then. Like, let's just be able to get to a point where we can just shake some ass to an unmeaningful and unserious BTS song. And like with every episode, you can find us on our socials at Twitter/X and Instagram at I Was Thinking Pod. Any feedback, comments, topics you think we should discuss, you can email us at iwasthinkingpod@gmail.com. Again, you can find me on my personal TikTok as SimonetaSays_. And yeah, just continue to support your faves, but don't be afraid to talk about what you like and what you don't like. As long as you are not bashing them, it's fine. I promise you it's fine. If you are an ARMY, stream 3D, stream 7, stream both, or one or the other. But just let's get back to just having fun in K-pop, okay? All right, we will see you next time. Bye.